Epic Gaming Night is sponsored by Analog Gamer. Check out Analog Gamer for high-quality board game apparel. You can find Epic Gaming Night shirts and much more at analoggamer.com. This is Epic Gaming Night, a podcast about board games and the stories and relationships they create. Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night podcast, a podcast about tabletop games, but mostly board games. I'm your host, Roy Canday, and with me, as always, is Matt.
Hi.
And Rob.
Well, hello.
Awesome. And we have a special guest tonight. We have Leah from Haba Games.
Hello, everybody. Go Wisconsin.
Go Badgers.
Go Badgers.
Madison is a beautiful city.
Thank
It
you.
is.
Awesome. Leah, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, Rob knows a lot about me after researching me on LinkedIn. Like I said, I'm from Madison. I born and raised here, went to the U, and moved around in Minneapolis, California, and came back to Madison. And what's interesting is I worked for a small library furniture company. This is my entree into Haba.
You mean Gresco Limited?
Gresco Limited, very good. And I was very lucky because the guy who owned it was out of the UK, and I told him that we really needed to find some cool children's furniture to sell to get the library to be a place to be cool to hang out in. And he took me across to Europe. We went to France and Germany, and we found Haba. And so for 5 years, I worked for that company bringing in the Haba furniture, and I'm still very good friends with Gresco. But Haba hired me away to take over their toy and game industry, to their company that they have in upstate New York. I just wouldn't move to Skaneateles, New York. So I stayed here in Madison.
That's awesome.
Now, is the company as a whole, do they go by Haba or do they go by Habermas Corp?
Well, Habermas is the name of the owner. It's still
Okay.
a privately held family called
Okay.
the Habermas family, but Haba is obviously much easier to say. So the toy and game division goes by Haba, and we're Haba USA.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
Awesome.
awesome. Well, our topic tonight is going to be all about Haba Games and the gaming side of Haba. So what can you tell us about Haba Games, how Haba got started, and Haba USA?
So the Haba Games have been around for years and years since the company started. So, 70 plus years. But when I started in 2002 with Haba as an employee, I concentrated on the baby toys. So I was working in the toy industry primarily, trying to get our wooden baby toys and tents and everything else that we make and the games into toy stores. And I brought that market to a level where I was comfortable enough and had enough revenue that I was able to hire a sales manager a couple years ago, and I said my whole justification was that if I had a sales manager, I could break into the game market. So I called, I think it was Gen Con 3 years ago. My first show was 2 years ago, and asked him if I could have a booth. And the woman was like, "I'm not sure if this would be the right show for you." Da 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 da. I was like, "Well, just give me a 10 by 10, and I'll try it once and see if it works." And it was, I was like, "Who are you people? And why don't you buy games at my toy stores?" Because it was really a great experience. I mean, everybody was glad we were finally there. It was like, "Where have you been?" Nobody knew where to find us, and it was an eye-opening experience for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Was that the year that you did the capes for Rhino Hero?
I think
That was
last year.
that was my second year. Yeah. So I actually went out and I went and bought 3 capes, and I made an iron-on patch in my room. And so I had it on at one of the shows, and I think Tiffany Ralph, I don't know if you know her at the
Yeah.
One Tar, she saw it and she was like, "Oh my God, Leah, you have to make these and sell these." So I made them and I sold them at last year's Gen Con.
That's
So I just
awesome.
had 100 made and we sold it with the Rhino Hero.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I definitely went to you guys' booth last year, and that was the first time that I knew of Haba Games. I had a few little ones here, but most of the ones I had were like ones from Germany, like the wording on it was all like in German and stuff like
Right.
that. But I played Rhino Hero at the booth, and as soon as I played it, I immediately was like, here's my money, like give me this. I played with 3 of my friends, and all 3 of us immediately bought the game. So
that's cool.
It was pretty fun. We actually had ended up getting on it late, so all the capes were gone by the time we got there. But I know it was a super hot item there.
Yeah, it's been a great, I mean, even last week at Origins, I had a 30-year-old guy come up to me and tell me that he showed me pictures at a hookah bar, and all of his alumni fraternity boys, they get together and they actually have a version where the 5th story, they have to create a bridge. So they have multiple copies of the game, and so they've got their whole own version of their Rhino Hero tournaments.
That is such a great idea.
How have we not thought of this?
That's awesome.
Because we all have a copy.
Yeah.
Just combine all the copies.
Make it a tripod Eiffel Tower or something.
I do feel like I beat the game, though, because me, my dad, and brother were playing, and we were playing competitively against each other, and we got all the way to, like, 15 stories and used, like, every single wall we had, and the rulebook says once you use all the walls, like, everybody just wins, and we're like, what happens now? We look in the rules, we're like, oh, we just win! We all win!
Hey.
It was awesome. We took lots of pictures. And
But did you start with the basement with 1 wall, or did you start with 2 walls?
We start with 2 walls, because we're not that hardcore.
Yeah,
if we start with 1 wall,
New Game Plus.
So why don't you start that whole phrase over again rather than you beat the game?
I beat the game
on easy mode.
on scrub mode.
So
now I need to go hardcore. So from now on, we're only playing with the 1 wall side because no longer
physically impossible to do if Rob's playing, because Rob will like try to just set everything very catty corner.
Only one time did I do that.
There was one time like the card wasn't even touching one of the walls, like the way you had placed it, and it was like, how? What
I
is
tried
this
to
magic?
envision my Rhino Hero tower as a person with scoliosis, and so I was trying to make the tower as shady as possible. But Leah, that wasn't the worst thing that happened that night. One of our friends, who's also hosting the podcast tonight, brought in a fan. And he brought in the fan on rotation right outside of the door. So we're having to move our bodies with the fan so it doesn't block or blow over the tower. So
I don't know what you're talking about.
We're just trying to hurricane test the tower. It's fine.
Yeah.
we were.
Awesome. Well, Rhino Heroes is one of the mini games that Haba makes. Can you tell us about some of the other awesome games that Haba makes?
Well, have you played Dancing Eggs?
I've heard of it.
Okay, that's one of our popular ones with rubber eggs that bounce. Everybody always loves the rubber eggs that bounce, especially when they're between your legs and you have to run around the table like musical chairs.
Yeah.
So Dancing Eggs is a great game. The other one, obviously, is Animal Upon Animal.
Mm-hmm.
So we sold a lot of that at Origins last week. Plus, they have they have lots of versions of Animal Upon Animal. And we have a little tiny version with little tiny pieces. So everybody liked that. It's a 2-person duel. It retails for like $8.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, I heard a lot of stories about, because we brought in the Swiss version of Animal Upon Animal called Crust Climbers. So you start out with Swiss Alps as the base piece. Do you guys know Animal Upon Animal?
Yes, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. I actually just played it tonight with my daughter.
I have like the jungle version with the balancing bridge thing.
Okay. But you don't have the professional version with the iceberg that rotates? Very nice,
No,
right?
that would be
Iceberg.
awesome.
There's a version called Animal Upon Animal Here We Turn, and it's got an iceberg in the middle that, for the easy version, rotates on a flat plane. So a little round, flat wooden piece, it rotates. And after you lay your animals on it, you have to roll it to the next buoy in the ice and make the sound of the animal that it passes.
I'd say that one more time. Animal Upon Animal what?
Here We Turn.
Here we turn, because I am going to order that. My daughter loves Animal Upon
How old is your daughter?
She's 3.
Oh, and she's playing that version already.
Well, yeah, we've
Not
been
the top
playing
one.
this for over a month now, and
Okay.
in fact, she won a couple games tonight.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Not even giving her the game. She just legitimately won, and I don't know if it's because there was
Well, their
an angel
hands are
looking out,
tiny and
right?
they don't
I
have
mean,
the shakes from
sometimes-
all this.
She just dropped. What was it? The lamb. She just dropped a lamb on the very top of the thing, and it stuck. And I was like, "How do you do this?" So,
But the other thing on this Here We Turn one is the harder version is they do a dome piece, so a little wooden dome. So not only does it turn, but it also tips.
Oh my
Oh.
goodness.
So you have to make it turn and tip. So yeah, that's a great version.
So a lot of these Haba games are like crazy, interesting, and innovative,
Yeah.
especially with like all the dexterity things. Is there a special like like way that they decide to like design these games, or like all that stuff's done in Germany, I'm sure.
It's all done in Germany, and they've just got a team over there that is just phenomenally creative. I mean, you guys were talking earlier before we started the podcast about other versions of Rhino Hero, and I just proofed some instructions today for a game I haven't even seen, and it involves building scaffolding and a string that pulls the scaffolding down if the dragon, if it's towers and dragons. So that'll be a next year game, I'm assuming.
Hmm.
So it's just amazing that the mechanics that they come up with.
Yeah.
So this year, so I introduce new games twice a year. I had new games at Toy Fair, and I think I had like 12 different titles. Well, I introduced 14 more titles this summer.
That's crazy.
One called
Wow.
Magic Feathers, where you're blowing feathers to get them on the card that you want. I mean, another one where you're building a cuckoo bird's nest. I mean, just phenomenal games. I couldn't turn one of them down because they were so good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, what is kind of like the thing? How does Haba USA work in relation to regular Haba? Do you decide what comes over
I
here, and then like do you have to do special translations on different things? How all does the Haba branch or the US branch of Haba work?
So tomorrow, if you guys want to join me, I have a 3-hour conference call. We're going to be doing this, playing games. So I'm going to see these
Ah,
prototypes of the games that they have. And so I'll make decisions based on just that. Usually I try and do it in person, but this time we're going to do it over a video conference.
oh, nice.
So I'm going to just see which ones I'm going to give the thumbs up to. I look at the gameplay. I look at the size of the box, which means the price point. You know, typically the bigger the box, the bigger the price point. And then I look at what else is out there as far as children's games. If, you know, I think there's anything competing with it. One thing I can't change is I can't change the artwork. So I
Gotcha.
look at the artwork to see if I think the artwork's appropriate. And then if I think I'm going to sell it now because I'm doing so well in the USA, I actually automatically get it translated to an English title with an English box.
That's awesome.
So, for example, Super Rhino
Hmm.
is Rhino Hero, but
Yes.
Hmm.
Super Rhino was trademarked in the US, so I
Right.
couldn't use that name here. You know,
Disney.
yeah, so it's interesting. Always would prefer to keep just the exact translation of the game for the US name, but I can't always do that. So yeah, I get to choose. So I have two. I have to try and let's see, get used to the game industry because what I do is I played a lot of these games that I'm introducing this summer at Nuremberg. So I get a read from them how well they're selling into their retail stores and how well they're being accepted. And then I can say, okay, I'll take that, and I'll bring them in over the summer. So yeah, it's been really fun. I mean, I've never been able to introduce this many games before.
That's awesome. Do you think there's a lot of difference in what's hot in the US market as opposed to like the European market?
I don't think so. I think that, gamers are gamers.
Yeah. Good
If it,
games
yeah,
doesn't matter what language you speak or where you're
yeah.
from, like it's just fun.
Yeah, I mean, look at Caruba. Caruba was a great seller here, and now it got nominated. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Are we going to see, or are we going to be able to see any of these games at Gen Con this year
yeah.
for
So,
demo or for sale?
yes, yes. So I put a quantity aside, just like I did for Origins last week. I had about 40 copies of Caruba at Origins, which sold out by the second day. And I'm learning maybe I should only have sold 10 a day, so at least I had some each day. And I don't know how you guys feel about that. Is that better or first come, first serve? Just
Personally, I like first come first serve. Now I know there's a lot of people that do like the 10 a day because let's say they can't make it on Thursday, but they'll be there Friday and Saturday.
right,
But to me, it's such a I don't know. It's kind of like a tease because so many people like they kind of get nasty in a way to be
right.
part of that 10.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so I just rather have first come first serve. You know, I missed it, and I'll try. I should have pre-ordered it or something
right,
like that. So
right. So yeah, I lost my train of thought.
I was asking you about Gen Con. If
Yeah,
you're going to have any of these games you're talking about now there for demo and or pre-order.
yeah, I definitely am. I've got 3 of the 14 are already in stock, and
That's
I'm
awesome.
really hoping. My favorite one is this Go Cuckoo. I don't know if you've heard about it yet. Have you heard Go
Mm.
Cuckoo about a
No,
cuckoo
ma'am.
bird? It's a metal can that stands probably 12 inches tall, and you take off the top of the can, and there's a bunch of bamboo sticks in there. And the bamboo sticks have colored ends on them. They might be red on one end, yellow on the other, green, blue, whatever. You have a bunch of little eggs and a nice big wooden cuckoo bird. And you distribute the eggs evenly, and you're building a bird's nest on top of the can, and you're trying to lay your eggs without them falling in or out of the bird's nest. And if you're the one that can lay your last egg and then lay the big cuckoo bird on top of it without making any eggs fall in.
We need to play this game. Like, I know it's for children, but our group needs to play this game. Man, that sounds so stupid and fun. Stupid
it
and
is,
good.
yeah. And a
I was
great,
like the Pixar of game companies.
yeah, and a great retail price point, $20.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Especially
so I
with
hope
adult
to have
teams.
that. Because
Okay.
I had that at Gamma, and we played it at game night at Gamma, and it was hysterical, especially with drinks involved.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So I hope to have a lot of those 14, maybe not all of them, but I hope to have quite a few of them. I want to have as many new games at Gen Con as I can. Not only the ones that I introduced at Toy Fair, which are all new to you guys too. So, yeah, we've got some great games.
That's awesome. Our listeners have like children of all sorts of different ages. Do you think that's important to like game with your kids?
Oh my God, it's so important. You know what? I mean, playing with your daughter tonight, that shows her that she's important.
Absolutely.
You're putting down everything and you're just spending time with her, and it's not just reading a book at nighttime. A lot of our games, I don't know if you know, but we have this whole series of games called My Very First Games. And it's for that 2-year-old, that's that preschooler. And it's amazing when 2-year-olds or 3-year-olds come to me at these shows and they don't know how to shake a dice. And mom and dad are saying, well, shake the dice, Leah, shake the dice. And they're like, they throw it, or they say throw the dice, so they toss it. And I teach the child how to drop it with 2 hands. And the parents, you can see the parents going, oh my God, my child doesn't know how to roll a dice.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm actually got invited to the library show, the American Library Conference this weekend in Orlando, to talk to the teachers about how important gaming is for the children in the curriculum. And, they learn while they're playing.
Yeah.
They learn self-esteem, they learn confidence, they learn patience, they learn perseverance. So how to share.
That's a big thing that we're doing
turns,
with our daughter right now.
Cooperation.
how to win gracefully, how to lose gracefully. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously I'm a big believer in that whole, they learn how to follow directions, and all of those skills are just skills that they'll take on into elementary school and on into their professional as they grow.
I've been playing a lot of kids games with my 3-year-old son as well. Like we play all sorts of different things, like the different Haba games and stuff like that. And he's gotten really good at taking turns and like passing the die around and being like, okay, it's your turn. Like he'll give his sister the die, and she's at that, she's 1. So she's like 1.5. So it's hard to get her to roll the die properly and stuff. It's like, okay, drop it. But it's good to teach her like, hey, you got to wait for your turn to come back around. It teaches them patience, teaches them dexterity. Like we played, the game Orchard that you guys have, and it's all about just, I mean, there's not a whole lot to the game. You just roll the die and pick up the little things. It teaches them dexterity and how to put things in little baskets and things like that. It just teaches a lot of crazy different like skills that you wouldn't think of until you see your kid like struggling to do it, but that they're learning to get this stuff down. So, and
how different is that from them playing a video game by themselves? I mean, it's that interaction that they need with not only something 3-dimensional, but with other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's just you can see the children, and in fact, it's funny for me to watch all of the consumers at these shows, these parents, and they see on the game that it's 2+, and right away, oh, my kid is too good, my kid is 3, so that game's not for him. And I'm like, really? If they sat down, and a couple parents sat down this weekend with me, and they were like, wow, the child was learning shapes and was learning things that they just assumed that they knew. And you could see the parents sometimes get frustrated because they were like, you know that, I'm like, no, they don't,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting.
And it's kind of crazy because like most people, basically everybody that listens to this podcast is going to play board games, and a lot of people have kids, but I know you want to like raise your kid playing games, so eventually they can play these bigger games with you and stuff like that. So it's great to teach them on all these different starter games to learn how to play all this different stuff. So I mean, it might not be super riveting and super exciting for you to play the game, but it's teaching them stuff and teaching them all these different amazing skills that they're going to be able to take, and they're not going to be able to play Dominion with you or Settlers of Catan today, but as you teach them and get them some different games, they'll be able to learn more stuff, and like when they go to school and stuff like that, they'll just be that much further ahead because they've learned how to sit there quietly waiting for their turn, or how to pass something off to another person. So
well, and just like you guys with Rhino Hero, a lot of my very first games that we have for that preschool age, there's competitive ways to play it, there's cooperative ways to play it, so the game grows with the child. You can make up your own rules to make it more competitive, or change it up a little to make it a little more difficult for them as you see that they're getting used to that gameplay or whatever. But even the orchard pieces, those big apples and stuff, your kids will put in their little grocery store. They'll play market with those when they get older, if you let them take the game pieces out of the game box. So yeah, there's just a lot in the Haba games. There's a lot of value in there.
My son's still a little bit too young to actually play Rhino Hero the correct way, but we made up our own cooperative version where I take out all the cards except for the Rhino cards, and I build the walls and put the Rhino card on there, and he has to move the Rhino onto the card.
Nice.
And then I build the next wall and put the floor on there, and he has to move the Rhino up again. And we basically just play together to see how high we can make it without it falling down. And so we just try to keep score on, be like, oh man, we got to 6 levels, that's crazy. So and
so eventually he'll do that himself and say, Dad, look at my tower, look at my tower.
Yeah. And then the next step is us actually playing the game together and like playing it against each other, which will be even better. So you can scale it as your kid gets better at different things.
See, I'm not that good. Well, I believe I'm
trying to beat your daughter in games.
Well, my problem with, and it's just with Rhino Hero, but I don't let kids play Rhino Hero because like I bring it a lot to like social things that I'll do with church or friends or stuff like that, and there'll be little kids, and I'll pull out Rhino Hero and I'll make all the adults play and have the kids watch us.
That's terrible.
It is terrible, but I don't know. I'm terrible for that. But
you need to get a second copy now, so you can have the kids beat up copy.
But then I want to play it. I'm very much addicted to that game, and so it's just.
That's awesome.
Anyway, I don't want the kids playing because they're gonna knock over the tower, and I'm like, man,
I'll get you a copy of my very first game's Animal Upon Animal. Then they can play with those big sheep and lambs and the pigs.
Oh, you don't worry about it. At Gen Con, Haba is definitely a first day booth that I'll be going to, and you'll have a lot of my monies before the day is over.
That's awesome.
Because I've got like 3 or 4 of your games now. Like I try to play Monza with my daughter.
Yeah.
And she semi gets the idea, but it's the whole combination of the colors and the track.
Yeah.
Where she struggles with, but again, it's for 5+, and she's 3, and so, but she does get it. She does get about rolling the dice and stuff. But I'm definitely interested in getting. I don't care that she's 3 and she plays a 2-year-old game. I'm 32 and I play a 5-year-old game. So like,
good point.
I want her to have games because it's everything that we've all been saying so far. It does bring our family together. It's like, to me, it's another way of having dinner together. Like America's really gone away from the whole dinner time together. But I want the whole aspect of family time together. And I know Roy does this a lot with his kids, and it's something that I want to do with my children. And so, I love Haba, and you have my money, and you'll have.
Thank you. It's great working for Haba. I mean, it's an awesome company.
Oh yeah.
For parents that haven't like taken the plunge into buying games for their kids or like started playing games with their kids, do you have any tips for like getting their kids into games or like teaching their kids how to play games?
Well, I can only imagine. If you're already a gamer, your kids are already seeing you play games, right?
Right.
I mean, so kids want to emulate mom and dad. They want to do the same things that they're doing. So the biggest thing for you is, as a parent, is just to find something, whether it's a Haba game or a Blue Orange game or R&R game. Find something that you enjoy, so that you will encourage them to play with you. So you won't, So that, I think that's just. They want to do what you're doing. So if you enjoy something and you bring them into it, they're naturally gonna enjoy it.
That's awesome.
I
Yeah.
100% agree because that's exactly how my daughter wanted to play. I have
Right.
like 150 plus games, and she started saying like a year ago, "Where are her games, Daddy?
Yeah.
Where are my games?" And so
Yeah.
it's like, okay, so that's when I started, buying a couple games here and there for her.
I had a interesting, I still get shivers when I talk about it. At Gen Con, a woman came up, a couple came with their 3-year-old daughter, and they're avid gamers, obviously. They were at Gen Con, and they could not get their 3-year-old to play any games. Nothing. She didn't like it. She didn't enjoy it. She didn't want to do anything with it. And I convinced them to buy that Orchard game, my very first Orchard. And she came to the booth the next day, and the woman like had tears and hugged me. She was like,
Aw,
"Oh my God." She's like, she actually, because it was her game and she got to set it up, she put the red apples on the red tree. She put the green apples on the green tree. And she said, "Okay, Mom and Dad, you can come and play with my game." And she took
aw.
ownership of it. And the mom was just ecstatic. She goes, "I cannot believe we found a game that she will play." So that was kind of cool.
That's awesome. What do you think a really good first game for kids is? Like, if your kid's just at that age where they're starting to be able to play stuff, what do you think is a good place to start?
I mean, that my very first Orchard is my go-to. It's really my go-to. Some people think that that $25 price point's a little high, but it comes with those great big
Giant
apples
looking
and green.
things.
And like I said, they can play with them in their market when they're 5 or 6 years old.
Yep.
We do have two other my very first games. We sold a lot of the Hungry Bear this weekend at Origins. It's a $15 price point, and the kids have to balance food, which is printed on a card, and get it into the bear's mouth. So the bear has a smiley face, and they have a spoon and a plate, so they roll a die, and if they rolled the red, it's a strawberry. So they have to find a strawberry on the plate and put it on the spoon and try and get the spoon to feed the bear's
And what's
mouth.
that called?
It's called my very first games. It's Hungry as a Bear.
That's awesome.
So that one went really well. And so did we have another one called Bubble Bath Bunny. And I told a lot of parents that we used that as a nighttime game. So they take a bath, and maybe instead of reading a book that night, you play this Bubble Bath Bunny. And if they roll the die, if it's red, they turn over a bubble. And if it's something red, a pail or something, they throw it in the bathtub, and it actually goes down a little slot, like a coin slot, and falls into the bathtub.
Oh,
So once
nice.
all those bubbles are gone, it's bedtime. The Bubble Bath Bunny's done. All the bubbles are gone. It's time for sleep.
And you get
So,
to learn your colors.
and you get to learn your
Yeah.
colors or shapes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Haba's actually started making some more games geared towards gamers and for like family game nights. Can you tell us a little bit more about that line of games?
Well, it definitely was a strategy that Haba took, and I think it speaks a lot to Haba that they were able to get Michael Kiesling and Rudiger Dorn and Wolfgang Kramer to age down. So Haba was aging up, and those guys were aging down.
Mm-hmm.
So especially, as their careers have been long standing, I'm sure it was fun for them to challenge themselves to do something a little. Did I lose you guys?
I can still hear you,
Okay,
but the
okay,
video.
went out. Um, so it's just nice that they were able to find that marriage of being able to create those new games. So we do have another three coming. They're going to launch them at Essen.
Mm-hmm.
And Marcus Nickisch is our lead game designer over in Germany, and he's coming to Gen Con for the first time.
Wow.
Hey,
So I just got the event numbers. We signed up for a couple of events, and we're going to have an event where you can play the prototypes of those games that he's introducing at Essen.
Hmm.
So those are going to be three. I've gotten little pieces. I can't give anything out yet as far as the names or what's
Gotcha.
involved in them, but we're going to have at least three new games. And then I'm also doing an event at Gen Con where I'm bringing over German games that I haven't decided to translate or import yet, just to get feedback from everybody as to would if they were in my shoes, would they make these games available in the US?
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. I don't know if you can turn your video off and back on and see if that
Okay.
helps, but we're currently not getting it
Can you
here.
see me?
I can see you,
I
and I can
can.
now see Leah. Matt, can you
Okay.
try to do the same thing?
Sure. Oh,
Yay! It just had to turn off and back on. Cool. Awesome. Well,
Maybe
that's-
I'm tired of listening to me.
Not at all.
Welcome to using Skype. It goes out on us sometimes. But yeah, so you guys just started, like, was it last year doing these games?
Yep. So last year at Essen was the first launch.
And that's crazy because one of the games you had was Caruba, and it was immediately nominated for the Spiel des Jahres. Can you tell us a
Yeah.
little bit more about that and like the buzz that's created for this game?
Oh my God. I mean, the game was selling phenomenal before the nomination. So, everybody, it was funny because the first time I started hearing people after they played it, they were like, wow, this should be a nominee. This should be a nominee. This is going to be a nominee. So we were all very much hopeful that we were actually going to get that nomination. But so it was kind of like, studying really hard for that A in the class and you got that A, it's just like, it's awesome. I mean, even if it doesn't win, it's awesome that it got nominated for our first shot at doing, family strategy games,
That's awesome.
especially for 8 and older,
Yeah. We played it a couple weeks ago and we talked about it on the podcast. It's just really it's crazy how they went to these adult games, but they're still keeping this unique mechanics and things you just don't see in other games that Haba is like really well known for at this point. So,
Right.
That's awesome. So I guess we'll go back to talking about Rhino Hero. Rhino Hero is one of our favorite games. And it's kind of a thing
Just
with
in
the
case it
podcast
wasn't
and
obvious.
listeners. But it's basically like the perfect filler game for us. And can you tell us about how well the game is done in the U.S. market overall? Because that's the really big game for us.
Yeah, it's by far our number one seller. Yeah, in fact, I sold out of it this year. It's so hard for me now because I don't have a history of sales in the U.S. market with games
Gotcha.
with the game stores. And, a lot of your local game stores are finding that they can start a little family section with Haba because we have such a wide range, especially with Caruba and Adventureland and Spookies now. So, yeah, it's by hands down our number one game. And actually, the gentlemen that designed it are from Boston.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. So they were at Gen Con last year, and I think they'll be here this year.
Are there any chances of the giant version of Rhino Hero ever coming over here, or any expansions or anything crazy like that?
If I can get you guys all to petition the Consumer Product Safety Commission, and we
Is
can
there a way
get
to just put like a higher age on
age like 8 and up or something. I don't know, because I saw a 35-year-old woman stand on a chair at Gen Con when I had that sample, and she almost fell. And I was like, okay, I'm putting this game away. I don't need a little lawsuit of somebody falling off a chair because they're trying to place their big Rhino Hero. But I do have good news. There is going to be a new version of Rhino Hero.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you expand on that?
It may involve expanded bridges, towers, maybe another animal.
What?
Is there like a... Okay, what?
Let your
Bridges?
imagination run wild.
So has it gone
Are
to
we
the
gonna be
printer
able to see
yet?
it
And
again?
can
It
we
has not. It has not.
can we fashion a rhino after Rob?
Do you need play testers?
That's awesome.
It's going to be, you guys are going to be blown away. You're going to be like, why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I think of that?
That's awesome.
Oh my!
Yeah.
Is it going to be for sale this year? Are you looking at like holiday this year or?
I don't think so. I think that they were shooting for Essen, but I don't think they're going to make it. So I think it'll probably be next year.
Gotcha.
All right.
We'll definitely be on the lookout for that. So.
Oh my goodness. Oh my yeah, we'll all three pre-order it. Man.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
It's awesome.
Okay, let me ask you this: just tell me to be quiet whenever. Is the other animal female?
Well, any animal can be male or female.
That is true. That is true.
Why does it matter?
Well, no, I just wanted to know if you're doing like a his or her type of a thing. Is it like a damsel in distress? Is it like I don't know. For some reason, I'm picturing an ostrich.
I was trying to start a rom-com out of tower building board games. And
All right, I'm just trying to
He
like.
watched a few too many. He watched Zootopia a few too many times. and now
Bro,
he's all
what if
about
it was an ostrich and instead of placing it on the card, you had to like its beak was like hanging over and you had to try to balance it where it didn't tip it over? That would
That
be
would-
kind of crazy, like
that would
like
be
a
a little
monkey or
rough.
something.
That would
Or
be-
you could do monkey. So do a monkey then, where it's like the monkey
Well,
chain.
no, I'm just
Oh my
saying.
gosh, we should
Can
try
you,
that. The
can you
bucket of
imagine
monkeys.
how hard that would be? Oh yeah, you could do that. Yeah,
That would be so cool.
You mean the barrel of monkeys where they
Yes, the barrel of
Yeah.
monkeys.
and then
Oh my gosh.
I'm
probably
sorry
have to
about
put
that.
two monkeys on either side of the card? Or yeah,
you wouldn't be able to move it though, because once you take that off, the counterbalance leaves, and then it would fall
Yeah.
one direction.
As long as it's not your turn, I don't care. as long as it's like, as long as it's not Robert Newman's turn, I'm fine with that. Man, that's so cool. Sorry.
So are you guys doing anything crazy or interesting for the conventions coming up this year?
well, I mean, we're going to be launching all those new games. I mean, there's one called Magic Feathers that comes with feathers that you have to blow onto the card that you want to get. So when I play tested that with a few people, we got quite the laughs going out of that, learning how to blow correctly. I've got a fire truck game where you have to drive a fire truck without losing the fireman on it as you're turning. So you're physically driving it with your one finger. So,
Okay.
you know, what else is there? I've got a little brochure here of all the games. Heroes of Cascaria.
Also, if you don't mind, can you also say the age range of what you're going for?
So, I mean, all of these are anywhere. I have 3 new games for the toddlers, that 2 to
Okay.
5-year-old.
Nice.
And then I have, games for 5 and up, 6 and up, 7 and up. Heroes of Cascaria is kind of another first shot at, let's see, sorry, I got to use my glasses, 6 and up.
Hey, glasses are beautiful.
And I don't know if you can see this, but here's that Go Cuckoo.
Oh,
See
that's
the stick?
awesome.
I like
Yeah.
how wild it looks
Yeah.
on the left side.
And then
Do you get
other-
to move the sticks
Crazy.
around as you play the game, or?
well, you naturally kind of move them. So you pull one out, and the only way you get to lay an egg is when you pull a stick that has the same color on both ends of the stick. So you get up to 3
Oh.
tries to pull a stick of the same color, and then you can lay an egg. But if you don't ever get it of the same color, you just have to build the nest without being able to lay an egg.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, these are all the summer games that I hope to be having at Gen Con. We have one where you're building a necklace. 3-year-old girls will love it. This teaches them, fine motor skills of
Yeah.
threading. So they have to,
Okay.
it's a memory game. So they have to, if they get 2 matching jewels, they have to thread it onto their necklace. And so whoever has the most jewels is the prettiest necklace and the winner.
Oh, fantastic. My
So
daughter
you
loves
will
stuff
have to
like
play
that.
that with I want to see pictures with your
Oh,
necklace on.
yeah, we already do makeover daddy time and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm totally used to that. And plus, you can ask my wife, I'm 37% gay, so I am comfortable with all of that stuff. Matt's 78% cheese. Anyway, very excited for that.
What's great about what was nice at Origins, I'm kind of going to go off topic here, but Haba has a lot of their little games that are about this big, like that, a little animal upon animal. And I have a new one called Rocks that's for ages 7 and up that has this little magic eye to check your answers. And so I have 2 more that I'll have at Gen Con. And one of them is called Splish Splash Catapult. You're actually launching water balloons, little cards that are supposedly water balloons, and you're
Yeah.
trying to get them to land in the middle on the rabbits. So we had some fun at that with the ACD game show we just did. We were launching these little water balloons and trying to get pretty good at our aiming.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
we-
So
We were talking about before the show about how you had like some struggles trying to get the yellow box into things because certain people like weren't all about the yellow box. Like
Right.
that's one of the things that like makes me really excited. It's like if I go to a game store, I see the Haba box, like that's the
Right.
brand. Like I'm all about that now. So
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, get the toy stores. The toy stores don't think the yellow box sells, and then I go to a game store and they're like, "Oh my God, everybody looks for the yellow box." So they know there's quality in that yellow box.
Yeah.
So
I think one thing that's really helped it out is a lot of different reviewers, like the Dice Tower and like several other people I've heard just talk about Haba Games, and like everybody knows, oh my gosh, look for Haba, because if you're looking for a game for your kid, that's where to go.
right.
So,
And why is that? Because you as a, I don't know how old you are, 25-year-old guy, you're going to have fun with it.
Yes, I'm way younger. I'm not
It's
dead yet,
okay.
guys.
She hit me on the nose. It's fine. Everything's great.
Yeah, Matt, who actually looks older than all of us, is the youngest one on here, and then
My youthful
then
exuberance.
Roy, then myself.
So no kids, Matt,
Unfortunately, no.
that you know of.
I hope not. That's gonna be a rough weekend. Someone's like, "Oh, by the way, no."
So instead of Matt having kids, he just plays the kids games with us. So
Awesome. Awesome.
They're so fun though.
Yes.
I still need to get these guys to play Glitter Luck with me because that would make for some good pictures.
That would make good pictures.
I do have a boy version coming out.
Really?
It's called Dragon Rapid Fire.
Oh, nice.
So the little dinosaurs are going to the volcano. So it's same, except it's orange jewels instead of the pink jewels. And if the dice shows a wind tornado, there's certain spaces on the board that spin and the wind changes direction. So it forces you to go a different path.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, my son actually has no problems with the pink glitter
Yeah.
glitter luck one because my sister-in-law and my wife and stuff are super into like My Little Pony type stuff.
Right.
So they're happy to play it with him. So it's like, hey, let's play the pony game. So
You got to check out Dancing Eggs. I had a couple buy it last weekend for a wedding shower
oh,
gift.
nice.
So
Awesome. So what is your personal favorite tabletop game?
that's not a Haba game.
I mean, you can do whatever you want. Like, if you were going to play a game, and it's just some sort of game played on a table, could be role-playing, like miniatures, whatever, any sort of game, what game would you play?
I come from Wisconsin, and card games are big in Wisconsin.
Gotcha.
So I'm a Dirty Clubs, Euchre. That's the family games that we play. Smear.
Do you play Hand and Foot?
I've never heard of Hand and Foot.
It's a rummy style game.
Oh,
Canasta
yeah. I grew
and
up
stuff
playing
like that.
rummy cards with my grandpa. And we
Me
play cribbage. All my kids learned how to play cribbage and count the 15-2, 15-4 when they were 5 and 6
Yeah.
years old. So we still bring it on the airplane and we play cribbage and things. Although I did pick up the Crabs Adjust Humidity to expand my
Yeah.
There you
Cards
go, Matt.
Against Humanity.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a fun story about that for after the podcast.
Uh-oh.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
we're not allowed to talk about Cards Against Humanity on the podcast? No.
Hey, what is that Glitter Luck game called? It's not Glitter Luck.
It's called Unicorn Glitter Luck.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
I can actually let you borrow it, Rob, if you want to see if your daughter likes it. So it's pretty fun.
I just
I'll
like that
make-
Rob's had his phone out this whole time, just jotting down a shopping list.
Tom Vassell at the Dice
As Leah
Tower.
names stuff off.
Not even joking.
No, I
My
can see it in your
cart-
glasses.
My
I know.
cart is just getting bigger. I'm like, so
He's
what
on
games are-
Amazon just putting things in.
I've got Dancing Eggs, Animal Upon Animal, Here We Turn, Orchard, Glitter Luck, and I found a couple other ones where she gets older. I definitely want to get one with an airplane and going through.
Plucky Pilots.
Yes, and then I just saw one with horses, and you're trying to jump over the horses and get to places, but that's a lot of pieces. My daughter is amazing and advanced and a beautiful princess, but I don't think she's there yet. And-
Two games that I had at the show this weekend that are discontinued, but I've got them for sale on my website for dirt cheap. And one of them, I don't know if Andrea was sharing it on social media. There was a tournament created called Pirates Blast. They're
Okay.
using a little nasal aspirator to blow ships. So you roll a dice and it tells you how many blows you get. And then you get to shoot a cannon at the other ship after. It's a two-person duel. So you get to shoot a cannon at the person every time he blows towards your island. So Pirates Blast is, I think, $11.99, $12.99 maybe.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, and then another one that you guys with kids would love is called Castle Knights. And Castle Knights, you use a stretchy cord. So it's up to 4 players, and you each hold the end of a string that has like a stretchy hair rubber band in the middle, and you have to put that stretchy hair rubber band around wooden pieces and build a tower. So it's a lot of physical coordination and talking to the person saying, okay, let go now, or set it down, go a little right, go a little left. So I sold out of the Castle Knights and Pirates Blast immediately at the show this weekend.
That's awesome. But you still have some of them on your website, or?
Yeah, they are. They're at habausa.com.
Nice. Awesome. Well, I guess that'll pretty much close us up. Do you have anything else that's coming up at Haba that you'd like to talk about or promote?
Well, I think that, we talked a lot about the new games that are coming out, and I didn't even mention all of them. So come to Gen Con.
Definitely.
And if, and I'm doing some promotions with the Gen Can't folks. So, keep in touch with us on our social media channels. And yeah, we're stoked to just introduce 14 new games at Gen Con, hopefully, all 14 of them.
But yeah, definitely, if any of our listeners have kids, make sure to check out some Haba games. Just check out any kids' games and get out there and play games as a family. It's great to play games together and interact with each other, because I feel like sometimes that's lacking from our society these days. So
yeah.
So I have a question for you, and we kind of already talked about it, but I'm going to bring it up. We had a listener, a fan of the show, send us an email. His name is Alex. Shout out to Alex. I'm going to kind of rephrase his question. He was talking about doing a collaboration with Plaid Hat Games because Plaid Hat has a legacy game coming out right now. And so the legacy game isn't tied with Plaid Hat Games. It's actually tied with the designer Rob Davio, who has his hand in a bunch of different companies with, the Pandemic, and then Hasbro with Risk Legacy, and then Plaid Hat Games with Seafall. So, besides Plaid Hat, would you ever work in a collaboration with another company on a game that you would like to see? I don't know, maybe, let me rephrase it. Is there a company that you would like to partner with maybe one of their games to try to turn it into a child version? And then second question, Rhino Hero Legacy. Could it be that game? And I know we already talked about it some. And Alex, you are totally right. I totally see this happening.
Do you just want to rip walls in half or rip the cards?
No.
Or write on the cards, put some stickers on them?
The way that I see it happening is, oh my gosh, Roy, say that again. That is such a good idea. Ripping walls in half.
Putting
like you can have like a construction zone, and you literally have to take like a boulder or like a wrecking ball and knock down a wall. That would be so amazing.
You have like a very small amount of double-sided tape to ultra secure some walls and stuff,
right? But then, like, it's a co-op game, so it's not competitive. But you make it where, like we were talking about earlier, we start off maybe with a small apartment building, and then you upgrade to like, maybe a small downtown business building, and then you upgrade to decent size skyscraper. Then, maybe ultimate you do the Empire State Building, or you go crazy and you go with that super tall tower in Dubai. I don't remember, but you do something like that, and then you already said it with the bridges and maybe a water fountain or something. Is there a way
with actual water?
Why not? I mean, why not? Why not?
Rob's trying to take Rhino Hero.
Drink healthy. You're promoting.
Hey, we used to have a game that you played in the pool. It had cards, waterproof cards.
I saw you had a bath time balls or something like that on Amazon. A Haba, we try to throw them in something. I promise. I was definitely adding stuff to my Amazon list. But is there a way that we could? Well, I guess you kind of already answered the question. I'm super excited for it. And Alex, I don't know if you're listening, but we do have a new version of Rhino Hero coming out. But I don't know, just the idea of a legacy. Are you familiar with legacy games?
No.
Legacy game is a game that builds upon itself. Okay. Where you play.
I was kind of getting that.
You play game one, and the actions and the different moves and the different decisions that are made in game one will forever affect the rest of the games. A lot of the legacy games play up to 15 games.
Okay.
And so and I've had this in games that I've played that are legacy games where I made a decision game 2 or game 3 that helped me win the game, where game 9 and game 10 they completely destroyed me. Okay. But it was left on the board, and so once I made that decision, you couldn't return that. You couldn't come back from that. And so the way we could do that with Rhino Hero.
They could have stickers to make cards extra nasty.
Or what if you had to make like a city? And so that way you kept the other towers up. So that way it was a legacy game.
You just leave it on your table like all year round until you're done.
Certain cards are
I
perforated,
would
so you start
completely
making
leave
the
that on my
floors a little
table.
bit smaller.
Or I would, yes, the floors being smaller, Matt Robbins.
Yeah, you just perforate it, so it's a
I
little
would
bit
make
easier
a
to rip them
shelf
apart.
specifically for that game. And I think a lot of our listeners would make a shelf.
It's like that Seinfeld episode with the game of Risk that they just keep carrying around on this like 6x4 table.
Yes.
This is your game of Rhino Hero just in the faraway closet where it's like, guys.
But the main concept of Legacy is just that after you're done playing the game, there are things that persist into the next game.
Okay.
So kind of like scenario sort of play, but they make it even more extreme where you're actually altering the game itself. Like, that can't be turned back. You're writing on things and putting stickers on things and ripping things
What
in
if you
half.
knock over the tower with the Rhino, and then for the rest of the game, you can't use the Rhino because he hurt his foot or something like that? That makes it where the Rhino was not really relevant for the rest of that game.
How about if he got a hole in his cape or something? He got
Yes!
stuck on a pole.
You can only go down.
Yeah. Yes, I love this. I think
Oh,
if we
man.
keep brainstorming, we could come up with something. Is that something that Haba
You're going to
would
get an
be
email
interested
in like 2
in?
or
And
3
again,
days.
this is another ground floor opportunity. To think about.
For investment.
Basically,
investment.
everything from your side has to be run through Germany, right? As far
Exactly.
as designers.
Yeah. So, everything has to go through Marcus Nickish's department. So he's going to be at Gen Con. So come by or I'll set up an appointment.
Throw your pitch.
pitch.
There you go.
There you go, Rob.
Legit
Buy a
go.
couple more copies of Rhino Hero. Just set up a
Make a
prototype.
prototype.
Go, hey, man. I got a thing.
That's awesome.
I would possibly do that. I mean, not that it would ever happen, but I don't know.
If
I
you
would do
start
it.
brushing up on your German too, that couldn't hurt.
Bro, I love a good bratwurst, and
Sprickete Deutsch.
man,
Sprechen
and
I can't speak German. Don't
sauerkraut.
make fun of
Oh my gosh, love sauerkraut.
It's okay.
And they have beautiful castles in Germany. If you ever go to Europe, you've got to go to Germany to see the castles. One of the last European countries with, I think, probably the best castles in Europe. Germany and France. England's are all beat up, but Germany's got some really beautiful castles.
If you're ever in Germany and you're in Bavaria, I can get you a tour of the Haba facility so you can see all the little wooden meeples being made.
Nice.
It takes about 4 hours, but they give public tours, personal tours. I can get you a personal tour in English.
I may actually be going to Europe here in the next couple of years, and now that I have your LinkedIn profile, you will be getting a message from me saying, Leah, remember that one crazy guy who wouldn't be quiet? Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
I may take you up on that.
Awesome. Well, I guess we're going to shut this thing down.
Okay.
Thanks so much for coming on the show, Leah.
Thanks for having me.
We stream these podcasts on Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and that is at youtube.com/c/Epic Gaming Night. Make sure to check us out on our Twitter and Instagram at Epic Gaming Night, and if you have any questions for us, feel free to email us at epicgamingnight@gmail.com. Where can they find you, Leah?
Oh, it's all Haba USA. You always have to have that USA in there. So Instagram.com, Haba USA. Our website is just Haba USA, 1B, HABA, USA.com. We created a special Facebook page just for gamers because gamers were telling us they didn't want to hear stuff about babies' rattles and stuff. So it's
Okay.
Haba USA Games. And then, of course, we have our own YouTube channel with the /C/Haba USA.
And Twitter, right?
And Twitter. Twitter is Haba _
USA.
USA. Yeah. I always have to write it all down because there's some with underscores, some with not.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
You were absolutely amazing. Thank you so
While,
much.
while the outro music plays, I'm just going to say that the Consumer Product Safety Commission does not have the ability to sign a petition, and it's actually very hard to get an email contact for them.
Yes.
But I found a link to file, not necessarily a complaint, but just to send them a message. So
Nice.
What if we just signed a waiver saying, I am buying this product knowing I could die playing the game? And you guys just like filed it.
Can you imagine Haba trying to sell a game of Rhino Hero where it's like you have to be 18 or older and sign this waiver that indicates you understand that you are personally liable for whatever happens when you play this game?
Whatever object you stand on to place the next.
Haba will not be liable.
I'd sign it.
I'd sign it. Oh my goodness. I'd sign it right now.
All those Japanese kids are hopping on ladders, building their towers.
Yeah. I know, you can get the game from Japan, but it's like so expensive to get it
but
imported.
What's funny,
like, it's so expensive.
Yeah.
What's funny?
It's $70.
Yeah.
I was going to say something that wasn't appropriate. So.
Hey, we're in the after show now. We're technically still
filter
on
came
Blow it away.
We're not on the audio podcast anymore, but we are still on the internet. So I mean, if you want me to cut it off, I can.
No.
So, I mean,
Thanks everybody who came out and checked out the YouTube. You guys are awesome. Our friend Zeb in the chat here said that if more stores had Haba Games, he thinks that half of his collection would all be yellow, basically. So.
Awesome.
They're so fun. You guys are a really great company. In all seriousness, not just because you're a guest on the show, but
thank you.
We really do appreciate you.
Yeah, I've really liked Haba for a long time, and I'm just really excited that the whole Haba USA thing is just bringing it all in so that it makes it accessible. So
I told Haba Germany they can shut the toys down. I'm just going to do games. You guys are way more fun.
we try to be fun and entertaining. So.
Yeah, the whole industry is nice. I mean, everybody's been so helpful to me. So it's been really nice.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I'm gonna turn off the stream now. So
okay.
We can stay on Skype, and that's fine. But if anybody is watching us, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll see you guys next time.